thanks for joining me. My name's Jan Radu and I'm from StampingElegance.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I live in Perth in WA, and I'm sharing this card with you today. I've used the Grace's Garden stamp set from Stampin' Up with its coordinating dies and created a feature here on my card where it looks like some of these pieces are floating above the circle. Wondering if you can see the dimension there on that one. I've used the Memento Tuxedo Black ink as our base and our alcohol markers, the Stampin Blends, for the simple colouring. There's nothing too difficult about this colouring. We just have the two shades, the darker and the slightly lighter. You can buy them in a set. And it's, as I said, very simple, just creating a few highlights, and I'll give you a few tips along the way for that as well. Okay, so I'll just point out that I've actually got Poppy Parade, these are Soft Suede, Misty Moonlight, and I'm using the Old Olive is actually our old retired version of the markers, but obviously they're still available in the Stampin' Blends. Because we're using alcohol markers, we need to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I've already gone ahead and stamped a selection of the images from the stamp set in the ink, and I was just going to show you my simple colouring that I've used on the card there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and lay some colour down for the fence now. So with our soft suede, we'll start with the lightest. And I think it helps when you're colouring here to actually leave a few highlights just at the top of the fence there. You can see on the fence post I've got a little white highlight on there, and you might see that I haven't totally coloured all of the areas in. Okay, and then we'll just switch to the dark, and I'm just going to concentrate on all the areas that would normally be in shadow. And I'm thinking the sun's sort of coming from the top, from this direction. Okay, I'm going to come back in with the lighter now and just blend those two colours together. So just coming from the dark and back over to where I already had laid down the lightest colour, and that just creates a bit of a blend in between. Still trying to maintain that highlight at the top there. And once I've finished that, I'll repeat for the other side of the fence. Okay, so that's our three images coloured that we need. So I'm just going to set them up to run through the big shot. So next I'm going to bring in the Stitch Shapes framelits, and we're going to use the largest circle here. And I have actually already cut out a piece of Whisper White for that. What we're going to do is we're going to line up the fence where we think we're going to want it. And I think I want to get a little bit of that post in. So I just want to cross the post over the circles there. And then I'll just lay that down, just using the circle down the bottom as a guide. And then I can pick the fence up, and if I run it through my big shot like that, I I end up with the fence that's perfectly cut with the stitch line to go on there. So I can repeat that for this flower here. So I essentially want that to tuck underneath. I would like to have all of these pieces in, so I'm going to move that one down like that, and then this piece is going to pop up over the top there, so that gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. So again, just using that as a guide, I'm just going to pop that down there, pick up the flower, just so that I've got an approximate vision of where it's going to go. And I can run that through. And once you pop that out, you can see where that one's actually going to go to. So as you can see on my card here, this one is flat, and then this one here I've got popped up on dimensionals. Hopefully you can see that there. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal on the back of here. And match my stitch lines up, and I can stick that down. Now before I put that down, we're going to stamp our sentiment. I'll just bring in the Stamparatus, and I don't need that one because the stamp set that I'm using, the Well Said stamp set, is on red rubber, so we don't need the extra padding on there. So I will bring my circle piece in, secure it with a magnet. I'm just going to line up the sentiment where I think I might want it, make sure it's as straight as possible, and I'm just going to bring in the fence piece just to make sure it's not going to conceal anything there. That can probably move up a little bit, so I'm quite happy with that one. Bring that down, and using my memento, nice light tap, light pressure there, and lift up, and that looks great. So we can pull that one away. So now to assemble, we are going to pop this one up on some dimensionals. I'm going to put quite a few because I want it to feel quite solid. And now we're just going to place that down. Make sure my sentiment's straight. And I'm going to slightly overlap it here. We're just going to line it up with the circle there. Okay, now we've got the rose piece that's going to go here, so I'm just going to use some mini glue dots for that one. And just going to pick a few of those up. And that's just going to place over like that. I also want to pop a dimensional underneath that rose there, just so that we can keep that lifted up. I've actually got a small piece here that's already cut off, just this little straight edge. Pop that behind. And that gives that some more support. Okay, I'll bring in my Misty Moonlight card base. I've scored that in half. And for my panel, I have got a piece of Sahara sand, and I'm going to run that through the embossing folder here. This is the Bricks and Mortar 3D embossing folder. I like to give a spray, move this out the way, just a couple of sprays of water onto the cardstock, just to encourage the impression as I run it through. So I'll line that up and I'll just run that through the Big Shot. Okay, so that's that one run through. Love the texture on there. I have some white twine that I've wrapped around my card here and tied in a small bow. We don't have actual white twine available at the moment, but in the annual catalogue you'll see, if you switch to page 40, the Playful Pet Suite has a ribbon pack here, and this one can actually be separated so that you can have the black and white together, or you can have each of the colours separately. That's a good tip. So all I'm going to do here is wrap it around my card. Tie it off in a small bow. Which can be easier said than done. Just fiddle with that so that the tails are a similar length, and you can move it along if you need to. Just cut the tails off. Okay. I'll go ahead and use some Stampin' Seal and I'll assemble my card. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you receive a notification whenever I post a new video. If you've got any questions, please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much.